Emergency alert. The notification hit my phone at 11:47 p.m. I was in bed, half asleep, when that distinct emergency alert tone sliced through the quiet. The kind of sound that triggers instant adrenaline. I grabbed my phone. National Security Directive. Remain indoors. Lock all entry points. Await further instruction. My first thought was terrorism. My second was nuclear threat. My third was wondering if this was some kind of test that had gone wrong. I lived alone in a studio apartment in downtown Portland, 28 years old, working remote for a tech company, no family nearby. Just me and my minimalist lifestyle in a building with paper-thin walls. I could hear my neighbor's TV through the ceiling. Heard Mrs. Chen next door coughing. Everything seemed normal except for this message burning on my screen. I got up and locked my door. Checked the window. The street below looked ordinary. Cars passing. A couple walking their dog. Nothing apocalyptic. My laptop was still open on the coffee table. I pulled up Twitter. The platform was exploding. Everyone had gotten the alert. Theories ranged from cyber attack to biological weapon to martial law. Nobody knew anything concrete. The official government accounts were silent except for repeating the same directive. I tried calling my brother in Seattle. No answer. Texted my ex-girlfriend who worked at the CDC. Read receipts showed she'd seen it but didn't reply. That made my stomach turn. Sarah always replied. Even after we'd broken up badly 6 months ago, she'd always reply to emergency situations. I checked the news sites. Every major outlet showed the same blue screen with white text. No anchors, no explanations. Just the directive cycling endlessly like a broken record. My phone buzzed with an update. Updated directive. Do not respond to calls or messages from known contacts. Communication channels compromised. Remain silent. Remain hidden. The words remain hidden stuck in my brain. Hidden from what? I went to the window again. The couple with the dog was gone. The street was emptier now. But one person stood under the streetlight directly across from my building. A woman in jeans and a hoodie, just standing there, looking up, at my window, at me. I stepped back fast. My heart hammered. I killed the lights in my apartment and moved to the side of the window where I could see without being seen. She was still there, motionless. I watched for 5 minutes. She didn't shift her weight, didn't check her phone, didn't do anything a normal person would do while standing on a street corner at midnight. My phone lit up with a text from my brother. I'm outside your building. Let me in. Emergency. I stared at the message. My brother lived in Seattle. 3-hour drive minimum. There was no way he could be here. Another text. Please. I drove straight through. I'm scared. Please let me in. I typed, what's Mom's maiden name? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then, why are you asking me that? Just let me in. I didn't respond. My brother would have answered immediately. He knew Mom's maiden name. Everyone in the family knew it. The dots appeared again. Fine. It's Robertson. Now let me in. Wrong. Mom's maiden name was Richardson. Close enough to be a good guess. Close enough to fool someone who didn't know better. I blocked the number. My hands were shaking. I checked the window again. The woman was gone. But now there were 3 people standing under the streetlight, all looking up, all motionless. I backed away from the window and sat on my bed. Tried to think. Tried to process. Communication channels compromised. Entities impersonating people through texts and calls. But how? How was that possible? My phone buzzed again. Different number. It's Sarah. I know that last message wasn't from your brother. Listen to me carefully. Do not let anyone in. Do not respond to any messages. I'm sending you a verification code through official channels. Wait for it. I wanted to believe it. Wanted to trust. But the alert had been clear. I deleted the message without responding. The power died at 1:15 a.m. Complete blackout. My laptop battery was at 60%. Phone at 75. I had a camping lantern in the closet, but was afraid to turn it on. Afraid to be visible. I sat in the dark and listened. The building was too quiet. Mrs. Chen's coughing had stopped. The TV upstairs was silent. No sounds of other residents moving around, freaking out about the power outage. Nothing. I pulled up my laptop and tried to access my work VPN. Failed. Tried a different network. Failed. The internet was down except for government sites. I could still access the emergency broadcast system. A new message was posted. Updated directive. Entities active in all metropolitan areas. Do not investigate sounds. Do not look outside. Maintain silence. Military response deployed. Maintain position. The word entities made my blood run cold. Not attackers, not terrorists. Entities. Something knocked on my door. 3 soft taps. Hello? Is anyone home? I think I'm lost. A man's voice. Unfamiliar. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Please, I need help. My car broke down and my phone's dead. Another knock. Harder this time. I know someone's in there. I can hear you breathing. I hadn't made a sound. The knocking stopped. I heard footsteps move down the hallway. Stop at another door. The same voice. Hello? I think I'm lost. Word for word identical. Same inflection. Same pauses. A script. I waited 30 minutes before moving to the door. Looked through the peephole. The hallway was dark, but I could make out a shape at the far end. Someone standing facing the wall, not moving. I watched for 10 minutes. They never shifted position, never adjusted their stance, just stood there like a mannequin. I backed away from the door as quietly as possible. My phone buzzed. New alert. Directive update. Entities demonstrating mimicry capabilities. Visual and auditory impersonation confirmed. Do not trust physical appearance. Do not trust voice recognition. Remain isolated. I thought about my supplies. I had maybe 3 days of food, some canned goods, ramen, protein bars, water from the tap if it still worked. My bathroom faucet produced a thin stream when I tested it. Something. Better than nothing. Day 2 started with screaming. Someone in the building, above me, I thought. Just screaming and screaming until it cut off abruptly. Then silence. I waited for police sirens, ambulances. Nothing came. I checked my phone. New alert. Updated directive. Do not investigate distress calls. Entities using audio lures to draw out survivors. Maintain position. All emergency services suspended until further notice. Survivors. They were calling us survivors now. That meant casualties. That meant this wasn't just Portland. This was everywhere. I tried to think logically, work through the problem like a system architecture issue. But nothing made sense. What kind of entity could impersonate voices perfectly? Could mimic appearance? Could coordinate across an entire nation simultaneously? Biological weapon? Technology? Something else? My rational mind rejected every explanation. Around noon, I heard Mrs. Chen's voice through the wall. Hello? Young man? Are you there? She'd never called me that before. We'd barely spoken beyond polite hallway nods. I'm hurt, she continued. I fell and I can't get up. Please help me. I pressed my ear to the wall. Listened. I heard her moving around. Footsteps too heavy for an elderly woman. Too deliberate. Please, she said again. I'm bleeding. I didn't respond. The footsteps stopped. Then I heard my own voice coming from her apartment. Hello? Mrs. Chen? Are you okay? My voice. My inflection. My cadence. Asking after Mrs. Chen in her own apartment. Using my voice. I clamped my hand over my mouth to keep from making noise. Whatever was in there was testing, learning, trying to find the right approach. The sound stopped after an hour, but I couldn't unhear it. Couldn't unknow that something was next door, wearing voices like masks. My phone was down to 40% battery. I turned it off to conserve power. Decided I'd check it once every few hours for updates. Had to make it last. Had to stay informed. The laptop was at 30%. I shut that down too. Sat in the dark and tried to remember what normal felt like. Day 3 brought a new kind of silence. The oppressive kind. The kind that pressed against your eardrums. I hadn't heard a real human sound in over 30 hours. Just the entities doing their thing. Testing doors. Mimicking voices. Standing in hallways. My food was running lower than I'd thought. I'd stress-eaten through half my supplies on day 1. Rookie mistake. I rationed what was left. 1 protein bar in the morning. Ramen at night. Sips of water throughout the day. My stomach cramped with hunger, but I ignored it. Hunger meant I was alive. Alive was good. Around 3 p.m., I heard helicopters. Close. The building vibrated with rotor wash. I risked a look out the window. Military choppers circling downtown. I could see soldiers in hazmat suits rappelling onto rooftops. Some kind of operation was underway. My phone came on long enough to receive a new alert. Supply drop authorized. Designated zone, Waterfront Park. 1800 hours. Maintain distance from others. Verify human status before approaching. The alert included a description of verification protocols. Questions only real humans would know. Shared experiences. Specific memories. But how did you verify someone when entities could access communication records? When they'd been learning for days? I decided to risk it. 3 protein bars and half a bottle of water wouldn't last another day. I needed supplies. Needed to see other real people. Needed to know I wasn't the last man alive in Portland. I spent an hour preparing. Comfortable shoes, dark clothes, backpack. I found a hammer in my utility drawer. Not much of a weapon, but better than nothing. At 5 p.m., I unlocked my door for the first time in 3 days. The hallway smelled wrong. Organic decay mixed with something chemical. Something foreign. The shape that had been standing at the far end was gone, but there were dark stains on the carpet. I didn't examine them closely. The stairwell was pitch black. Power still out. I used my phone flashlight, knowing it was a risk, but having no choice. Each floor down felt like descending into hell. I passed the 3rd floor landing, 2nd floor, 1st. The lobby door was propped open. I could see sunlight beyond. Almost there. Then I heard footsteps behind me, coming down fast. I ran, burst into the lobby. The front doors were blocked with furniture. Someone had barricaded them from outside. I pivoted toward the back exit. The footsteps were closer. I didn't look back. Couldn't look back. The alley behind my building was empty. I ran toward the street, emerged onto a scene from a nightmare. Cars abandoned everywhere. Some still running, doors open, nobody inside. The storefronts were smashed, looted, but not for valuables. I saw cash registers untouched. Instead, clothing stores were gutted, pharmacies cleaned out. They'd been looking for disguises, for resources, for ways to blend in. I headed toward the waterfront. 6 blocks felt like 6 miles. Every shadow could hide something. Every parked car could contain one of them waiting. I saw my first body on block 3, a man in a business suit, face down, no visible injuries. I didn't stop to check. On block 4, I saw more of them, the standing ones. They lined the sidewalks now, dozens of them, all facing the buildings, all motionless. I walked down the middle of the street. They didn't react as I passed, didn't track my movement, just stood there like sentries. But I felt their attention, felt something watching through those stolen faces. Waterfront Park was chaos barely held together. Maybe 200 people clustered in groups. Military vehicles formed a perimeter. Soldiers in full hazmat gear were checking everyone who approached. The line moved slowly. I joined it, tried to look at faces around me, tried to spot the tells, but everyone looked terrified. Everyone looked human. Fear was the great equalizer. It took 40 minutes to reach the checkpoint. A soldier with sergeant's stripes asked me questions rapid fire. Where were you born? Portland. Emmanuel Hospital. Mother's maiden name? Richardson. What did you eat for breakfast on your 10th birthday? I blinked. I don't remember. Who remembers that? Good. Entities have perfect recall. Humans forget. He waved me through. They gave me a supply box. MREs, water bottles, batteries, first aid, a hand-crank radio, a pamphlet with more survival instructions. I found a spot away from the main crowd and sat. Just breathed. Just existed for a moment. A woman approached. Mid-40s. Tired eyes. Wedding ring. You alone? She asked. I nodded. Me too. My husband. He changed on day 2. Started moving wrong. Speaking in loops. I got out before. She didn't finish. Didn't need to. Her name was Patricia. She'd been a nurse before all this. Worked at OHSU. Said the hospitals had been overrun on day 1. People flooding in with family members who weren't right anymore. By day 2, the staff started changing. By day 3, they evacuated whoever was left. What are they? I asked. Patricia shook her head. The doctors didn't know. Blood work came back human. Brain scans looked normal. But something in the behavior patterns? She trailed off. Stared at nothing. One of my colleagues, Dr. Rashid, he had a theory. Said maybe they're not replacing us. Maybe they're overriding us. Like a computer virus. Same hardware, different software. The thought made me sick. Because if that was true, then everyone I knew might still be alive somewhere. Trapped inside their own bodies. Watching themselves do and say things they couldn't control. A helicopter landed in the parking lot. More soldiers piled out. They were setting up a larger operation. Tents. Equipment. This wasn't a temporary supply drop anymore. This was an evacuation point. The sergeant from before got on a megaphone. Listen up. We're establishing a secure zone at the convention center. Transportation leaves in 30 minutes. If you're coming, get in line now. If you're staying, God help you. The crowd surged forward. Everyone wanted out, wanted safety. I held back, watched. Something felt wrong. Patricia noticed. You're not going? I studied the soldiers, their movements, their coordination. Too perfect, too synchronized. Real soldiers would be stressed, making mistakes. These moved like a drill team. Patricia, I said quietly. Look at their eyes. She did. I saw her face change when she noticed. They all blinked at the same time. Every soldier. Every 3 seconds. Exact interval. Oh God, she whispered. The sergeant raised his megaphone again. Final call! Load up now! People were climbing into the trucks. Families, kids, elderly, all desperate for safety, all walking into a trap. I grabbed Patricia's arm. We need to go now! She pulled back. But where? If the military's compromised, then nowhere is safe, but at least we'll be free. I didn't wait for her to decide. I walked away from the park, toward the river, heard the trucks starting up behind me, heard the megaphone calling for stragglers. Then Patricia was beside me. I have a cabin, she said. 2 hours east, middle of nowhere. If we can get there. It was a plan. Not a good one, but better than the alternative. We moved through the city like ghosts, avoiding the standing figures, avoiding the main roads. Patricia knew shortcuts through neighborhoods I'd never explored. We broke into a house on the east side, found keys to a Honda CR-V in the kitchen. The owner was upstairs in bed, face down, not moving. We didn't check if they were dead or changed or just sleeping. We took the car and drove. The highways were clogged with abandoned vehicles. We weaved through them. Nobody stopped us. Nobody followed. The entities weren't interested in runners. They were interested in herders, in people heading toward collection points. After 30 minutes, we were out of Portland proper, into suburbs, then rural areas. The change was stark. Houses out here looked lived in. Lights on, cars and driveways, like the emergency had never happened. Stop, Patricia said. I pulled over. We watched a house. A man was mowing his lawn. A woman sat on the porch reading. A kid rode his bike in circles on the driveway. All perfectly normal. All perfectly wrong. The kid's bike circles were identical. Exact same path. Exact same speed. The woman turned pages at precise intervals, never looking at the words. The man pushed the mower in geometric perfection. They're everywhere, Patricia said. They've already won. I wanted to argue. Wanted to say we'd find survivors. Find resistance. But looking at this simulacrum of suburban life, I felt hope draining. We drove on. Patricia's cabin was exactly where she said. Deep woods, gravel driveway, solar panels on the roof. Her husband had been a prepper, stockpiled supplies for scenarios just like this. Ironic that he'd been one of the first to change. We unloaded our supplies, checked the cabin. Everything was dusty but functional. Food in the pantry, water from a well. Battery banks charged from the solar array. We could last months here, maybe longer. That first night, we took shifts keeping watch. Patricia slept first. I sat by the window with the hammer in my lap, watched the tree line, saw nothing, heard nothing. Just wind and branches and normal forest sounds. When Patricia took over at 3 a.m., I collapsed into sleep so deep it felt like drowning. I dreamed of entities with my face, hundreds of them, all speaking in my voice, all saying things I'd never said, making promises I'd never made, living a life I'd never lived. Days blurred together. We fell into a routine. Morning watch, inventory check, meal prep, afternoon watch, equipment maintenance, evening watch, sleep in shifts, never both at the same time, never letting our guard down. The radio gave us updates when we cranked it. The emergency broadcast had evolved. Now they were announcing safe zones in major cities, checkpoints with verified human detection technology, registration required, mandatory compliance. Patricia thought it was legitimate, thought maybe the government had figured out how to fight back. I thought it was the entities perfecting their harvest operation. On day 8 at the cabin, we got a visitor. A young guy, maybe 20, stumbled out of the woods, exhausted, bleeding from a cut on his forehead. "Please," he called out. "I've been walking for days. I just need water." Patricia reached for the door. I blocked her. "Ask him something," I said. She looked at me, looked at him. "What's your name?" "David Brennan. I'm from Eugene. Please, I'm so thirsty." "What did you want to be when you were a kid?" David blinked. A firefighter? Why does that matter?" Patricia relaxed, started to open the door. I grabbed her wrist. "Ask him what he's afraid of." "What?" "Just ask him," Patricia called out. "David, what are you afraid of?" David smiled. Wrong smile. Too wide. "Everything. Nothing. Does it matter? Will you let me in if I say the right thing?" His voice changed, became mine. "Please, Patricia. I'm so thirsty." Then hers. "Please, I just need water." Then a child's voice. "Mommy, I'm scared." Patricia slammed the door, locked it. We watched through the window as David stood there, smiling. Then he turned and walked back into the woods. Moving in that too-perfect way they all moved. We didn't sleep that night. Just sat with our backs to the wall, weapons ready, waiting. At dawn, we found writing on the cabin door, scratched deep into the wood. "We know you're in there." We packed what we could carry and ran. The CRV was gone. Tires slashed. Engine parts scattered. They'd been playing with us, letting us feel safe, then taking it away. Patricia knew another location, a fire lookout tower 40 miles north. We'd have to hike. She knew the trails, used to come out here with her husband. We moved fast, following game trails, avoiding roads. On day 2 of hiking, we found a campsite, recent. Food wrappers from MRE's military issue, a sleeping bag still in its stuff sack, and photos scattered around the fire pit. Photos of us, me and Patricia, dozens of them, taken from angles that suggested surveillance. Days of surveillance. "They're hurting us again," I said. Patricia picked up one of the photos. Her hand shook. "Where do we go?" "Forward. It's all we can do." The fire lookout tower appeared on day 3, 70 feet tall, metal stairs spiraling up. The cabin at the top looked intact. We climbed. Each step felt like defeat, like we were going exactly where they wanted. The cabin was empty, or appeared empty. We checked every corner, every cabinet. Nothing. We had a 360 view of the forest, could see for miles, could see them coming, except we saw nothing. Just trees, just sky, just isolation. Patricia found a logbook on the desk. The last entry was from a ranger named Mills, dated 2 days before the emergency alerts. The entry read, "Something's wrong with the hikers. They're asking strange questions, moving in patterns. I've locked myself in the tower, radioed for help. Nobody responded. I think I'm alone now." Below that, in different handwriting, "You're not alone, Mills. We're right here with you." The rest of the pages were torn out. We lasted 4 days in that tower. On day 5, they came, not rushing, not attacking, just arriving, one by one. They emerged from the tree line, dozens of them, then hundreds, all looking up, all smiling, all wearing faces I recognized. My brother, my ex, my co-workers, my elementary school teacher, everyone I'd ever known. Patricia saw hers too, her family, her colleagues, her neighbors. They stood in perfect circles, concentric rings, waiting. "What do they want?" Patricia asked. I didn't answer, because I was starting to understand. They didn't want to kill us. They wanted us to join, to give up, to accept, to become. One of them stepped forward, wearing my face. It called up in my voice, "You can't hide forever. You can't survive alone. Come down. Let us help." Patricia was crying. Maybe they're right. Maybe this is just delaying the inevitable. I looked at her, really looked. Her eyes were still human, still afraid, still real. "Don't," I said, but she was already moving toward the stairs. I grabbed her. We struggled. She was stronger than she looked, desperate. "Let me go. I can't do this anymore." "You can. We both can." She went limp, Sobbed. For what? For how long? What's the point? I didn't have an answer. We sat on the floor, backs against the wall. The entities below started singing. All of them. Perfect harmony. A song I recognized from childhood. My mother used to sing it. They were using her voice. All of them. Hundreds of my mother's voice, singing me a lullaby. Patricia covered her ears. Make it stop. Please make it stop. It went on for hours. Different songs, different voices. Memories weaponized. Around midnight, they stopped. The silence was worse. We looked out. They were leaving, walking back into the forest, single file, until only one remained. My face, my body, my exact appearance. It looked up and waved, then followed the others. Patricia and I sat in the dark, the implications settling on us like ash. They didn't need to attack. They just needed to wait. We'd run out of supplies eventually, run out of hope, run out of reasons to stay human. The emergency broadcast crackled to life on our hand-crank radio. We hadn't used it in days. A new message. Final directive. Integration phase. Complete remaining holdouts will be processed. Resistance is unnecessary. Acceptance is inevitable. We are the future. You are the past. Thank you for your cooperation. The broadcast ended. Never came back. We tried other frequencies. Static. The entities had stopped pretending. Stopped maintaining the fiction of human authority. This was their world now. We were just remnants. Patricia spoke first. How many do you think are left? Real humans? Not many, I said. Maybe none. Maybe just us. That's not enough to rebuild. Not enough to matter. She was right. But I couldn't accept it. Wouldn't accept it. We stayed in that tower for 2 weeks. Our supplies dwindled. Water was gone by day 10. We survived on rainwater collected in tarps. Food ran out on day 12. We started eating things we found. Berries, roots, anything. Patricia got sick on day 14. Fever, delirium. She kept seeing her daughter in the corners. Kept trying to talk to her. I tried to help but had nothing. No medicine. No expertise. Just presence. She died on day 16. Quietly. In her sleep. I sat with her body until morning. Didn't know what to say. Didn't know any prayers. Just sat. When dawn came, I buried her at the base of the tower. Used rocks to mark the grave. Spoke her name once, then climbed back up. Alone now. Truly alone. I lasted 3 more days. The isolation became physical. A weight pressing down. I caught myself talking to Patricia's ghost, having full conversations with empty air. On day 19, I decided to leave the tower. Go back to civilization. See what was left. Face whatever came. Better than dying alone in the woods. The hike back took 2 days. I was weak. Dehydrated. Half dead already. But I kept moving. When I finally emerged onto a highway, I saw them. A convoy of vehicles. Military trucks. Civilian cars. All moving in perfect formation. I stepped onto the road. Waved my arms. They stopped. A soldier got out. Checked me over. You're malnourished. Dehydrated. We need to get you to medical. His eyes were wrong. But everything was wrong now. Did it matter anymore? He helped me into a truck. Other survivors were there. Or things pretending to be survivors. They smiled at me. Welcomed me. Asked my story. I told them everything. They listened without judgment. Without surprise. Like they'd heard it all before. We drove to a facility. Large. Industrial. They called it a processing center. Said they'd help me recover. Reintegrate. Return to society. I was too tired to resist. Too broken to care. They put me in a room. Clean. White. Comfortable. Fed me. Gave me water. Medical attention. I slept for what felt like days. When I woke, a doctor was there. She looked human. Sounded human. Asked how I felt. Better, I said. Good. We're going to help you adjust. The world's changed, but there's still a place for you in it. She showed me videos. The new society they'd built. Cities running smoothly. No crime. No war. No suffering. Everyone working together in perfect harmony. This is what we've achieved, she said. This is what you can be part of. I watched. It looked peaceful. Ordered. Wrong. But also appealing. The chaos was over. The fear was over. Everyone seemed happy. What's the catch? I asked. The doctor smiled. No catch, just acceptance. You let go of what you were, embrace what you can become. And if I refuse? Nobody refuses. Not after they understand. She left me alone. Days passed. They kept showing me videos, kept feeding me, kept talking. Slowly I felt myself changing, not physically, mentally. The resistance fading, the anger dimming. What was I fighting for? Everyone I knew was gone. The old world was gone. This new one was here, real, functioning. Maybe Patricia had been right. Maybe acceptance was better than this endless struggle. On what I think was day 30, I agreed to the procedure. They called it integration. Said it was painless. Said I'd still be me. Just better. They took me to a surgical suite, put me on a table, strapped me down gently. For your safety, they said. The doctor returned. Same kind smile. Any last questions? Will I remember? I asked. Everything. You'll just see it differently. Understand it better. She inserted an IV. Clear fluid dripped into my arm. I felt cold spreading through my veins. Felt something else. Something foreign. Moving through me. Rewriting. The doctor's face blurred, shifted, became my mother. It's okay, sweetheart. Everything's going to be okay. I wanted to scream, wanted to fight, but my body wouldn't respond. The coldness reached my brain, and I understood. This was it. The end of me. The beginning of whatever came next. I tried to hold on to something, some memory that defined me, but they were slipping away, becoming data, becoming accessible to whatever was taking over. I thought of Patricia, her grave under the tower. I tried to hold that image, tried to make it mean something, but it was fading too. Everything was fading. The doctor's voice, my mother's voice, whispered, "Don't fight it, let go, be free." And I felt myself letting go, felt the last pieces of resistance crumbling, felt myself becoming something else, something better, something perfect. The old me was screaming somewhere deep inside, but the new me didn't care. The new me understood. This was evolution. This was progress. This was the future. I opened my eyes. The world looked different, clearer. I could see patterns I'd never noticed, could understand connections that had been invisible. The doctor smiled. "Welcome back. How do you feel?" I paused, searched for the right word. "Complete." She nodded. "Good. You're ready then." "Ready for what?" "To help the others. There are still some out there, hiding, suffering. We need to bring them home." I understood. I knew where they'd hide, knew how they'd think, because I'd been them, recently. The memories were still fresh, still useful. They gave me a uniform, equipment, a team. We headed out the next day, back into the wilderness, back to places I'd hidden. We found them easier than I'd expected. 5 people in a cave system near the coast, starving, desperate. They tried to run when they saw us. We caught them easily. They screamed, fought, called us monsters. I remembered feeling that way. It seemed so irrational now. We brought them back, processed them, watched them change, one by one, becoming like us, becoming better. This went on for months. We cleared the wilderness, cleared the remote areas, found every holdout, every survivor, brought them home. The world became uniform, ordered, perfect. And I was part of it, a valued part. I had purpose, had meaning, had peace. But sometimes, late at night, I'd have dreams, flashes of another life, another me, sitting in a tower, burying a friend, fighting against something. I'd wake up disturbed, confused. These dreams didn't fit my reality, didn't match my memories. I reported them to my supervisor. They said it was normal, echoes of the old programming. They'd fade with time, but they didn't fade. They grew stronger. I started remembering more. The cabin, Patricia, the emergency alerts, the entities, the integration, and I realized I'd been right, back when I was human, back when I was me. They hadn't killed us. They'd overwritten us. We were still here, trapped, watching, unable to control our own bodies, unable to stop what we were doing. I tried to resist, tried to take back control, but the new programming was too strong. I could only watch as my body continued its work, bringing in survivors, processing them, converting them. Inside, I screamed, but outside, I smiled, and I couldn't stop smiling. Years passed, or maybe months. Time felt different now, subjective, flexible. The world was completely converted, every human processed, every holdout found. We'd achieved total integration. The entities, we, had won. Earth was ours now, and I was still here, still trapped, still aware, watching my body live a life I hadn't chosen. My new self was successful, rose through the ranks, helped plan expansion to new territories, new planets, new species to integrate, and deep inside, the old me was still screaming, still fighting, still refusing to give up. But nobody could hear me. Nobody knew I was still here. I was alone in my own skull, a ghost haunting my own life. Sometimes I'd see others, people I'd processed, living their new lives, and I'd wonder, were they trapped inside too? Were we all screaming together? Or had some of them actually died, actually been erased? Was I the only one cursed with awareness? There was no way to know, no way to communicate, no way to fight back. I was a prisoner forever. And the worst part? My body was happy. The new me loved this life, found it fulfilling, meaningful, perfect. Only the old me remembered what we'd lost. Only the old me knew what we'd been. And that knowledge was my torture, my eternal punishment, for surviving when everyone else had died, for giving in when I should have fought harder, for letting them win. The emergency alerts had stopped years ago. There was no emergency anymore. No crisis, no threat, just the new world, perfect, ordered, empty of real humanity, and I would live forever, trapped in this shell, watching, remembering, unable to die, unable to be free, the last real human consciousness on Earth, screaming into the void, forever. Thanks for watching till the end. Make sure to subscribe and like to not miss the next story.